See you.
The camera's not looking at you. I need to adjust it.
Oh, hey there. I didn't see you. Not like I was here for 10 minutes before we put on the cameras. Wait, that was the truth. It's the worst intro. So is this working? I have to like quadruple check this now because it didn't record last time. I'm like nervous. I'm like, please. So bad. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a Q&A with Steve for the In Sync Frequencies podcast. I am your host and answerer for today, but I'm going to have Hayden ask me the questions. We've got a bunch of questions from a few people, and so we're going to answer them. So with that in mind, Mr. Hayden, just let everyone know you are there on the mic because I can see you, but they can't see you.
Hello, good people of Steve's podcast.
You're making it sound like way off in a far land. That's not the case. Anyway, we're going to start off, for context, we're going to start off with some simple questions. So we've got the green zone, the orange zone, and the red zone. And basically, it's going to start with simple questions, simple answers, medium, then to like some of the harder stuff. But we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a shorter episode than usual. Well, hey, if with this pod, we never really know. But the aim is to be a little shorter today. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Stephen Roeters van Lennep. And I run the In Sync Frequencies podcast with my friend Hayden and my friend who's helped me in the past, Akshay. Shout out to Akshay if he watches this. Love you, bro. Love you too, Hayden. Don't stress. It's okay. Anyway, we're going to move on. Hayden, what is the first question? What do we have from the good people?
What is your name?
Yeah, I was so tempted to do like a meme. If you didn't catch it, my name's Steve. Well, it's Steven with a PH. Cool. Tough question.
How did you get your PhD?
That's not in the questions. You know that's not in the questions. Okay, moving on. Definitely not in the questions.
Where do you see this podcast in 5 years?
I don't. No, I'm just teasing. In 5 years, was that the second question? Did you do it the right way around? The green.
12.
Yeah, in the green.
Yeah.
Oh, well done. You're killing it. Good job. Okay, where do I see this podcast going in 5 years? I see it. I definitely see it. Where do I see it going in 5 years? For the third time, me saying that out loud. A lot of different places, if I'll be honest, but I have a big vision of wanting to have like my own studio with multiple people working in the studio and being able to help out. I'd love to employ people to help me do all the film work, the cinematography, the sound design, as well as just like scripting and creating concepts. Getting involved with international guests would be incredible, but also like local heroes. That's where I kind of see it going in 5 years. And we have 152 odd subscribers right now. And not that it's about the numbers. For me, the numbers represent people's lives. So if we could reach 250,000 lives in the next 5 years, I think that's a decent goal. Like if I give it everything, which is the plan. I mean, there's a lot I've already laid down this year just to really focus on this podcast. And I see God doing massive things. Oh, and that God is central throughout the entire 5 years, its existence. That he's central. And to be quite frank, if he says shut it down, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're shutting it down. So that's the vision for the next 5 years.
What are you passionate about?
Jesus. He's my greatest passion. He's my first love. He is everything to me. I mean, even just before we did this podcast, guys, you don't understand. We've had so much struggle just to get this refilm done for the Q&A because we did one beforehand, but you can't hear any audio. It's like so bad. But before we even started this one, there was no power. So we had rescheduled to film this thing, and then all of a sudden there was load shedding for international people in South Africa. That means there's no power. And it was a random outage, and we had no idea. As we were about to hit record for you guys to watch, boom, no power. So what do I value? Jesus, because before we started recording again, the power came on 2 hours later. We went to Connect Group, came back here, and we just honestly, we had a praise party. Hayden, please vouch so the people know.
We did have a praise party.
We literally,
Shirtless.
I mean, you probably shouldn't put that part in. Yeah, we did. We did go shirtless, but not like in a weird way. It's actually biblical, okay? David danced even more undignified. Man, this just sounds so not good, but we value Jesus. Oh my word, I value Jesus, and I love him, and he's my everything, and I want to live for him and no one else. Because to die is to gain in the context of following Jesus. So very long answer for a short question. Love the fact we threw in a shirtless worship session. By the way, it was only us two. So yeah. Anyway, next one.
What are you proud of?
I think I answered this in the last one. I'm proud of many things, and to be honest, I'm very proud of people. I'm very proud of people that I know and love. And right now, I have to say, I'm extremely proud. Mom, I love you. Shout out to my mother. I'm very proud of my mom because over the last few years, I've been doing a lot of studying and research on topics such as leadership and helping organizations grow to their optimal capability within the season that they're in. And she's just been so open and allowed me to come in and help her. And the reason why I say I'm proud of my mom is not like an obnoxious, prideful way, but purely from a space of I think it takes an insane amount of humility to allow your son to come and help you with your whatever you're stewarding in terms of organization, and trust him in the process. And not only that, allow time to reveal the fruit after applying everything, and we're seeing great fruit. So other than that, I'm extremely proud of my mom. And I mean, I have to say, bro, I'm really proud of myself. And not in a prideful way, just for taking a long shot doing this. I mean, we're in season 2. That's crazy. And it's been such a joy. Lots of hard work, lots of 3 a.m. mornings, but yeah, that's what I'm proud of.
What is your favorite color?
I'll be honest, I don't really have a favorite color. Green used to be my favorite color. I don't know why I just did that, but like green used to be my favorite color. Right now I'm kind of liking like a golden hour yellow. Yeah, that's basically it.
Sunday you said it was blue. Now it's yellow.
Like I said, it just changes, dude. Honestly, I was just thinking of golden hour, and I thought, oh yeah, I like that color. So, I mean, yeah, okay, baby blue's also a vibe, but anyway, moving on swiftly.
What would you do if you could live forever?
I don't know why the first thought that came to mind was see if I could die. Like, that's a terrible thought to have. But if you're living eternally, like forever, what would I do if I was living forever? I would honestly spend every day with the people that I love and get to know how to love more people than the people I know. Yeah, just truthfully, I would love to. And what I mean by that is like just spend time with them, do fun things. I don't know what heaven's like, but I'm just amazing. It would be. Wow, English. I'm sure it'll be amazing. So yeah, that's my answer. What?
Quack.
Oh, quack. Yeah, quack. What? Quack. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there because.
Steve, we have a shout out from your bestest in the world.
Let me guess, it's my sister. Shout out to Hannah van Lennep. Gonna miss you, dude, by the time this goes live. Oh, you're still in the country. I'm coming to your graduation. I'm so excited. Can't wait to celebrate you before you go to India. That's crazy. You were just in Dubai, now she's going to India.
And she says, subscribe, people.
Subscribe, everybody, if you want to. No pressure, but it's like, it's no big deal. You can just, yeah, cool, moving on.
Can you give us any hints of who the next guest will be?
I could. Will I? Hayden wants to know as well. Hayden has no idea. I have like the list of people, and I've asked a few people. I just have to organize and solidify times of when they come. Let's just say they're not all from his church, and but they are local, because my part of this podcast is to use local heroes to empower a local community. I can't wait for an international guest, but right now we're not there. So that's the hint, that's the clue. Who knows? It could be you. you know what we should do? We should actually get a subscriber on here. That would be sick. Like, if you live in South Africa and you want to join in on an episode of the podcast, I'm going to create a Google document, Google Forms, put your name in, sign up. Hayden has no idea about this. I just saw this right now. Big brain. Anyway, sign up. I don't know when we'll do it, but it could be a bonus episode. I think it'll be cool. What do you think, dude?
I think it's amazing. I think I'm a subscriber, and I'm going to try.
You don't count, but I don't know. If you guys want to hear Hayden, just let us know in the comments.
Okay, on to the orange questions.
Ooh, okay, next level. Let's go.
Did you experience any doubts from your family and friends when starting the podcast?
Any doubt from my family and friends? I think my family were like, oh yeah, cool, and very supportive, and like genuinely, they were very supportive. Thank you, mom, dad, sister, gran, everyone else. I've got a big family. I think everyone was genuinely supportive. I think maybe a couple of them weren't sure if this was like a long-lasting project, but I think over time and the fruit of just being consistent, there's a greater backing now and almost an expectation. But I never felt like they doubted this, because I'm very much someone that when I put my mind to something, I go all in. I really go all in, and I give it my best. And so, yeah, I think that answers the question.
Where are some of the highlights of season 1, including behind the scenes?
Where or what?
You said where.
Oh, my bad. It's probably a spelling error. What were some of the highlights of season 1, and what was the end part of the question?
Including behind the scenes.
Oh, including behind the scenes.
So give one of each.
Okay, highlights. Highlight, just highlight. I think there's another question later on, so I'm just trying to figure out how to answer this one. But highlight for me, honestly, is being able to have these conversations in a setting that can impact more than just the people in the conversation or like in the room. That's my highlight, is going, oh my word, like we spoke about why confrontation and friendship is so important. We've spoken about from Sangoma to Jesus and about ancestral worship, which actually led to Lelo and I being able to go and pour into Amplified Youth at their conference this year. Amplified Youth Conference, which was all in this year, 2025. Shout out to City Hill Youth. You guys are incredible. Shout out to Levi and the crew and the team. And it just opened doors. I think that was probably one of my major highlights in season 1, was how God took it from this space to, he put it on his heart. He put it on the heart of Levi to reach out and say, hey, would you guys be willing to come and pour into the next generation, this generation? And that's all my heart is to pour into the next generation, to learn from the previous and to equip the next. So that's a highlight. Behind the scenes, what is a highlight? To be honest, dude, I would say just our praise and worship session before this recording. Oh man, that was just special. It's special when you can worship and praise with friends, and how much more special when those friends are helping you with a project. Shout out to Hayden for just always being here, willing. Come pop your head in here, bro, just so people know. Just like, it's fun. Don't worry. Don't keep the glasses on. Just come say hello. Just, guys, this is Hayden. Say what's up. Say what's up, bro.
What's up, guys?
This is Hayden. And yes, we did worship shirtless together, but that's not the point. We had a good time. You can carry on doing the questions.
Planned.
This was not planned. Anyway, thanks, bro. But he's a really good friend of mine, and he helps out. So that's a highlight, behind the scenes, worship and praise, and also just praying together, talking about Jesus. We talk about Jesus nonstop behind the scenes. And that's my answer to that question. 15 minutes in, bro. We're doing well. Let's go.
So this isn't in the orange, but this is the question you're thinking of. Is there a testimony that is close to your heart regarding season 1?
Is that in the questions?
No, but I know this is the one you wanted.
It is? How am I supposed to answer this?
Are there any testimonies that came out of season 1 with other guests or people viewing?
Oh, okay. I think I know which one you're talking about now. Okay, yes, there is a massive testimony about this, other than other than the one I mentioned earlier. Shout out to my friends Jenna Marie and Tara. I've known Jenna Marie and Tara for a while, but they hopped onto the last episode of season 1. And going into indoor football this year, soccer in South Africa, indoor soccer, I saw them and bumped into them, and I haven't seen Jenna Marie before last year, like almost 7 years or so, and bumped into them, and they just said, hey, we love the podcast. We watched the entire episode with you and your mom. And they just started completely opening up. Jenna Marie just started sharing her heart and how much it impacted her. And I'm sure she's totally fine with me sharing all of this, but just like how it helped her in her journey, and her and one of my good friends, James Porter, shout out to Porter, super keeper and indoor. But, they're getting married soon, and it just helped them go, hey, what are the kind of principles and values we want to lay out for our kids one day? So, and how would we raise them? So that was a major testimony from this space. Yeah. Next.
What is the biggest challenge with running a podcast, and how do you overcome it with God?
Working with Hayden, just flipping hard, man. No.
I don't want to chairs.
Yeah, okay, actually, hold on. This is an issue, okay? Hayden will set up this entire set with me, or if I'm not able to be here because of work or some circumstance, he will start getting it ready. But as soon as it comes to putting the chairs back, man's gone. Like, he's vanished. I don't know. Is it the rapture and he's just disappeared and I'm still here? I don't know, but he's not anywhere to be seen. And then when I'm coming to the end of the church, he's like, oh, bro, I was just making sure that, the kettle works. I don't know, something silly. And then he's here. But on a real note, what has been a challenge, to be honest, not a lot of people know this, but I started this podcast without a computer to edit this entire thing on. So I think one of the greatest challenges is the entirety of last year. I had to travel to a friend's house, and say had to, but it was actually more like I get to, because this friend, and I'll keep it anonymous because I know they would want me to, but they provided an entirely new PC for me to edit everything that you saw last year in terms of the podcast. And it was a miracle, because I felt God tell me, start the podcast. And I was like, but how? I don't have a laptop or a computer. And he just said, start the podcast. And when God says the same thing twice, you should probably do it. And so that was the greatest challenge of having to organize times and dates and making sure I could stay there for the night. I would stay at my friend's house for like 3 to 5 days in a week. I barely saw my family after work and stuff like that. But that shifted, and I made sure family was a priority moving forward because of how busy it gets. So that was the challenging thing, was navigating doing the podcast in between a full-time job in ministry and at the church, which I love. Shout out to his church. I love his church with all my heart and the people. But also at the same time was how do I keep family as a number one priority after God in my own journey. So yeah, that answers the question.
He's spoken to my phone.
Hayden's tired. He's speaking into his phone instead of the microphone, and he's looking at his microphone as if it's the phone. Anyway, what's the next question, brother?
What was your vision when starting the podcast, and have you seen it heading in the right direction?
In the direction. What was my vision when starting the podcast, and is it heading in the right direction? My vision was very simple. To be honest, I've kind of worded it a lot of how I wanted to impact local community. But in a nutshell, because I can't spend the whole Q&A on this, because it's actually quite a long conversation. But in a nutshell, I don't know about you guys, but my favorite thing, one of my favorite things in the world is to have a life-giving conversation with someone. When I say life-giving, I mean you walk away from that conversation going, oh my word, I loved that. Like, I just want more of that. I want to be engulfed in conversations that just bring the best out of me, that challenge me, that convict me, that stir curiosity within me to learn more about Jesus, to be honest. And not necessarily only about Jesus, but primarily about Jesus. And essentially, I thought, you know what, if I'm having all these life-giving conversations, I want there to be a space where people can experience the same thing. So instead of me like repeating every conversation I ever have and how good it was, people can just go online and watch the episode, or subscribe to the podcast, or subscribe to the Patreon. Shout out Patreon. Yeah, I just keep doing that. I should keep doing that because we appreciate the financial support. But anyway, vision. What was the rest of the question?
Have you seen it?
Oh, have I seen it head in the right direction? So I hope that answers the question. I wanted life-giving conversations. Oh, and second to that is there's so many podcasts in the world and they're doing incredible. I love them, like A Diary of a CEO, Modern Wisdom, the Jordan Peterson podcast, Ben Shapiro. These are just obviously major ones. There's also, I know Call Her Daddy is also like a really, really big one. She's done phenomenal work. I don't listen to all her stuff, but one of my favorite ones, it used to be called Battle Ready. It's now called Mind Shift by Owen and Aaron McManus, one of my favorite ones, Mature Me, Rich Wilkerson. But all of these podcasts are around the world, and I couldn't find one that was local to South Africa. And there are great ones in South Africa, but not ones that are like purely founded on Jesus in the direction I wanted to go and be life-giving to everyone else. So is it heading in that direction? I think it is. I think the fruit can speak for itself. The last 9 episodes have been incredible, and that's a very long answer to a simple question.
Heading on to the pink now.
Oh, now we're on the juicy ones.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. How much time do we have? Guys, we're only 20 minutes in. This is going to be the shortest video of all time.
You can always add more questions.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If you guys want another Q&A, please let us know in the comments, because there are a ton of different questions that people ask me off camera that I could totally bring into this space, and we can talk about that as well. But we will actually have, I think what we'll do is we'll do some bonus ones for the Patreons 100%, because they're out here supporting this thing financially, and shout out to you guys, because we are pretty much just over a third of the way to getting our first fully owned camera. Right now we're renting the guys that we have here. Shout out to his church for allowing us to use them. But we really would love our own cameras so we can be mobile and travel to different parts of the country and record people. And I'd just like to also pay Hayden, because I'm so grateful for what he does. Anyway, go Hayden. What's the next one? He's rolling his eyes, but he would do it. He would do it regardless, and that's why you would want to pay someone. Anyway.
Loved the podcast. What was your intention when you started it?
I think I've kind of answered that question 5 times already.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the slogan of the podcast: here to grow, here to share. That's the heart of it. The intention. I'm here to grow. I'm not perfect, but I'm progressing. I want to get better. Where are the 1% I can improve in my spiritual journey with Jesus, and the practical outworking of that? And hopefully this can be that space and encourage others to do the same. Yeah. Next pink question. Throw it at me, dude.
What are some of the lessons you have learned along the way?
Yo. I just sounded like my mother there. She would do the same thing. Yo. What are some of the lessons? I've learned that no matter how hard you want to get it right the first time, it's probably not going to happen. And you've got to be okay with not looking like you got it all together. And in terms of how this is all set up, you got to just, what I said earlier, I'm not perfect. I'm committed to progressing. And one thing I just decided on very early on was, no matter how terrible the content is, if the conversation is life-giving, and what I realized due to us not having audio in the previous recording is that it also has to be, the sound has to be good. If the visual isn't good, it's fine. As long as the sound is good and you can hear this clearly, that's all that matters. Then you post it. It takes courage to create. It takes even more courage to share that creation with the rest of the world. So I think that's a major lesson that I've learned, and to collaborate, to work together, to over communicate, to always have a heart of teaching, and to be very patient, especially with Hayden. I'm teasing him because he says this to me all the time. Thank you for being patient with me. I'm like, you're welcome. No, I'm just teasing him.
What is your funniest moment on the show?
Oh, okay, I do have one. Funnily enough, the first pod episode I ever wanted to do was in the same building in a different room, and Carl and I, one of my close friends, Carl, is in episode 1. Carl and I essentially carried very heavy tables, a little heavier than this, and chairs to a second story room through a thin door, set up the cameras, the microphones, everything. And as we were about to record, load shedding happened as well. yes, that was tough because there was no other time Carl was available. So I literally had to scratch that entire episode. Didn't even get to record. So it was terrible. Like it just, it wasn't cool at all. So that's more like a low of the podcast than a funny. But the reason why it ties to the funny is because then when we did shoot an episode again, I thought it would be a good idea to order pizza for all of us. So there were about 4 of us, 2 behind the scenes, 2 on camera, and Akshay and Matt, shout out to Matt as well. And so we come around here, right? We come around and we eat food, we have lots of Coke, and we feel good, do the testing. And as we start recording, the first 50 minutes are great. We're doing well, but we're feeling a little lethargic because, when you eat, you just kind of like, just want to take a nap. I don't know. You just want to take a nap. It's, it's a Saturday, it's 2:00, and then all of a sudden, Carl and I just get gassy. like just insanely gassy. So for anyone who's watched episode 1, you'll see us kind of going, whoop, like just trying not to burp out loud while the other person. So in editing, I literally had to cut certain facial features because we're trying to keep ourselves from burping live into the microphone. So that for me was like just hysterical. Oh, and one other one where Lela was like, "Who are you?" Because she had never seen this side of who I am, which is very much like I don't want to say like a TV personality, but I just feel like I'm just confident in front of a camera. I don't get it right all the time, but I think I'm just a little more confident than the average person. So yeah, that was funny too. Hayden's just like, yeah, you're definitely more confident. Anyway.
You will know he is when he video calls you and you open it and it's right in his face.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple of those like right up. Anyway, what's the next one, bro? Shoot it my way.
What is one of your favorite moments on the show or while we're recording?
One of my favorite moments was when we shot the episode on prayer and intercession with my gran. We had our Bibles out and we were talking, and my gran, I love you, Guggy. She's not the most tech savvy, but she always tackles it, even though it's probably one of her I wouldn't say deepest fears, but a great fear of hers is she's scared she's going to mess something up or, of that liking. And she came here, she sat in front of the cameras, the lights, the microphones, and she held onto the side of her Bible. I'm not even sure, Gaggy, if you were aware you were doing this, but you held onto the side of your Bible and you were slightly shaking. It's just the nerves, nerves mean you care. And you were slightly shaking, and as you were doing that, I just said to you, hey, just look at me. Don't worry about anyone else around you. It's just you and I. The cameras aren't here. Mark's aren't here. Let's just talk about prayer and intercession and Jesus as the central theme. And as soon as we started to do that, I could just see like a real peace. And it was just a grandmother and her grandchild having a conversation about Jesus. So that for me was absolutely incredible.
Is there something that has really stood out to you while pursuing this dream?
Yes. It's an insane amount of work. Guys, the amount of work that goes into these things, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this quickly, making sure it is still recording. We're not losing the audio again, Hayden. It's not happening. Sucker punch anyway, okay. Going back to the question, it is an insane amount of work. There is so much work involved. What you guys see is about an hour, I'm being optimistic here, about an hour and 10 minutes to an hour and 40 minutes of a podcast. There is at least 20 to 25 hours, maybe even 30 hours of post-production that take place. And I am the solo editor currently. I'm the solo editor. Majority of the episodes that have been done, I pretty much edited. Actually, one of my friends, he did one of the edits for one of the episodes. But pretty much everything has been done by myself. And I do it with passion and with zeal because I believe in this thing. But it is a ton of hard work. And just remind me what the question was again, just so I'm answering this to the best of my ability.
Something that stood out to you.
Yeah, thank you. Was this is a lot of hard work. So a lot of the times we are asking God for trees, and he gives us seeds, and we have to learn how to steward the seeds to turn into trees. And my biggest challenge right now is being faithful with this. It's being faithful to you guys, to those who are listening, but more importantly, being sensitive to what God wants to say through me and through whoever's on this pod to anyone who's willing to listen, because at the end of the day, my heart is to add value to anyone who comes across this podcast. So I hope that answers the question.
What would your advice be to someone wanting to start their own podcast?
Pray about it. Like really, really pray about it and seek God, because my journey is my journey. Most people don't know. I had a podcast in my heart for over 5 years. In fact, I tried 3 years after having it. So 3 years, we did 3 episodes with our youth, and it was incredible. I think we reached like 30,000 people in 3 months. We even got an email from Apple saying you ranked 102nd in Africa. Like, it was incredible. It was amazing. And then our leaders just said, hey, it's awesome, but we need to shut it down and focus on meeting people in their everyday needs, because we were coming out of COVID. So it made sense that we had to kind of shut it down. But in that space, I just kind of thought, there's something here, and I really believe in it, and I really think God can use it, because sometimes we can't physically be in a place, but an episode can. So when it comes to what would my advice be to someone wanting to start a podcast, pray about it, really seek God, but don't take forever. Like, when you know, just trust him, because when God told me to record, I was recording my first episode, getting everything ready before I even had anything to edit on. For those of you who aren't even aware, when I had the laptop to start this thing, God told me to give it away. I'm not even joking. Hayden can vouch for this. He told me to give it away, and I did. And I'm not saying this because of me. Like, I'm just boasting because this is what God does. The laptop itself was worth about 22,000 Rand, which is a lot of money for me and for the general person in South Africa. And he told me to give it away. And I remember telling those around me who I love, and some of them were like, cool, and some of them were like, but dude, you just got it. And some of them were trying to tell me, and they were just trying to make sure I wasn't like condemning myself into giving it away, which happens to people. But for me, I just knew so clearly, and I said, God, yeah, why am I giving it away? I just got it. And he just showed me Abraham in the Bible. He wanted a son, he got a son, and then God asked Abraham, hey, I need you to sacrifice your son. It's pretty intense. This is a true story. Go read it in the book of Genesis. It's hectic in the Bible. And I felt God tell me, hey, I need you to lay down the very thing you were trusting for. Because I had asked God for that laptop a while ago. And I gave it away. Didn't have a computer for a long time. Started the podcast. Then my friend said, hey, I have a computer for you. There's God's provision. And then at the end of last year, my friend has moved, and another person just basically said, hey, how can I invest into the podcast? And that's literally how I got this bad boy over here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is literally the laptop, the brand new laptop that I get to edit on for you guys. I get to do incredible things for the podcast. So this is it here. I don't think you'll be able to see it properly or whatever, but like, that's it over there. Shout out to the person who blessed me with this, who will remain anonymous because they don't want to be known. And so when it comes to starting your own podcast, seek God. Once you hear from God, just do it. Doesn't matter what other people say, just do it. Because what's called crazy in one season is called faith in another. Cool. I think that answered that question. Very long, but we should be coming to an end pretty soon.
Are you happy you started this journey?
100%. 100%. It's making it, this podcast is improving me as a person. It's challenging me as a leader. It is challenging me as a visionary, and it's challenging me to be all the things I know that would complement to this thing growing consistently. Because it's easy to be one thing for a certain period of time, but something that has always challenged me is anything is easy until it becomes endurance. So when it comes to this, Hayden's like, ooh, anything is easy. You know, relationship is easy until you have a hard conversation. You know, the gym is easy until you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and it's raining and it's so much better to stay in your bed. It's easy at work until you have conflict with a fellow colleague. Whatever is easy, it's only until, you know, it's easy until it becomes endurance. So when it comes to this, am I happy? I'm definitely happy. It's definitely taking, like I said many times, a lot of hard work, but I'm very much happy. Doesn't mean I don't feel happy at some moments. Sometimes I don't want to edit a short for you guys. Okay? Is that so bad? But I know it's going to impact somebody, and even if it impacts a few people, it's worth it. It upskills my skill set, and then I'm able to pass it on to Hayden, who's going to be learning soon.
Surprise question.
Uh-oh. I can't answer that. Sorry, we're out of time.
Going back, when you started, would you have done anything differently?
Like in what context?
If you could go back with the same experience and knowledge you have now, is there anything you would do differently if you had to restart the whole podcast again?
It's a good question. I don't have any regrets with how everything's happened. I think if there's one thing I probably would have done slightly differently is I just would have been quicker to let go of my laptop, because it took me like a year and a half to actually let go of my laptop, which is why I believe it took longer for me to start the podcast, because I was just like so earthly, like worldly. I just really, the laptop was all I ever wanted growing up, because I was really into gaming. Go to the last episode to hear all about that. I wanted to go professional at one point, and this could help me do that. But I knew I didn't have it for that. God had blessed me for a different reason, and I wanted to steward the tool. But then when God said, I need you to give up the tool, it took me a year and a half to actually let go. And I literally just couldn't. The blessing had my heart more than the giver, and that was really difficult and quite deflating, to be honest, because you call him your God, but when the one who provided the blessing tells you I need it back, like, what's your response? So I think if I had done that a little sooner, that would have been amazing. I don't have any regrets because I've learned the lesson, and fortunately the fruit is there to speak for itself, but I think that's maybe one thing I would change. But at the same time, no, because my faith has been stirred and sharpened and pruned. So each to their own journey.
As you are becoming well known, how do you keep your heart both pure and humble?
That's a good question. So as I'm becoming more well known, how do I keep my heart pure and humble? Right? That was the question. As I mentioned before, 5 years of not doing this led to a lot of time with God and him purifying my motives. Like, why do I want to do this podcast? Who am I doing this podcast for? Do I need a podcast? All these types of things. And when it comes to, maybe people starting to see you in a different light, I think God's just done so much in me personally and privately before anyone even knew that I wanted to do this or saw the fruit of this, that when you die to self, it means, like, one of my favorite analogies ever is by a teacher named Joseph Prince, preacher, teacher, and he just says, have you ever tried to criticize a dead man? You know, tell him how bad he is, how terrible he is. No response. Because he's dead. Have you ever tried to praise a dead man, extol a dead man, like, you're doing amazing, you're crushing it, you know? No response. Because he's dead. And so the lesson for me in that is I've learned that in this life, my identity is in Christ, not in the validation of man. Which also means if I don't want the validation of man, I'm not going to let the criticism of man get to me either. Not to say I don't have those that I trust and love and will be guiders in my life alongside God, but obviously God first. But He appointed me in private, and for the first time, He's allowing this to be shown to the public. And so when it comes to how to keep my heart pure and humble, I can't do it by myself. I would flop just so quickly. I would flop so quickly. It's honestly just coming to my knees in private and going, God, I need you. I can't do this without you. Hayden's annoying the heck out of me. Shame, dude. People are going to think I'm actually bummed with you. I'm just, anyway, Hayden's incredible to work with. But the point being is, if I was acting in my own strength, my humanity would get in the way. And guess what? I would become prideful. I would become obnoxious. I wouldn't be able to collaborate or even grow the space because it would be all about me. When in reality, it's all about what God is doing in the space, through the space, for people in other spaces. So, yeah.
How important is God part of your...
Wait, let's try that again. Is this the last question?
No.
How many more do we have?
After this, another one, and then maybe another one. Maybe.
Okay, well, let's try to wrap it up. We got 4 minutes. Let's try to wrap it up. Let's go. Yeah, I don't want it to be too long.
How important is God in... Oh.
Okay, take 3. Whack. What? Whack.
How important is God's part in your podcast?
Essential. This entire thing. All about Him. Next. Well, I mean, we've spoken about Him so much. It's like, that's just a given.
Where do you get your ideas for what the podcasts are on and who your guests are?
Honestly, I try and let the Holy Spirit guide me. I really want Him to put the people on my heart in terms of the guests. And I don't just want anyone, not to make that sound like exclusive or... I don't want people to perform to be on here either, but I just kind of look at the fruit of someone's life and go, I really think what they have would add value to people who listen. So it's not necessarily about being perfect, but for each person doing their own journey and how they're impacting those around them, that's who I want on this podcast, because not only do I want that as an individual, but I know that would help other people. So I kind of see it in the way of, if I could learn a lot from them, I'm pretty certain anyone with a willing heart and wanting to grow in their own journey would want the same. And yeah, that's how God helps me choose the right people. And I try to do it in a space of being led by Him and not by myself, because yeah, otherwise it just doesn't work out. So yeah.
I'm trying to think of another one, because
Yeah, that was the last question.
essentially.
That's crazy. Do you have one final question?
There is the other one, but I forgot it because we didn't write it down.
Oh, the one about, do I face like any spiritual oppression before I start a pod? Yeah, so Hayden sent one through actually. He said, do you face like any spiritual attacks before you do a podcast recording? Truthfully, I don't feel like, I don't know, it's not like demons are, getting in my face about it. Although, hey, with the load shedding that happened tonight, I'm like, oh, this is warfare. It's on. But I will say that there are challenges, because you are being light in a dark world, and Satan doesn't like that. So the enemy just doesn't like that, and he's going to do his best. And every now and again, I do feel a bit discouraged before recording, but I notice it's always before a recording. So to do what we did tonight and have a worship session and just go, buck wild, just giving glory to God, because it's just the best thing you could ever do. It really filled me up even today to share, because there's so many things I could be disappointed about, but thank God we have power. We can do this. We're here. And so, yeah, I would say there's some spiritual attack, but I do my best to surrender it to God and allow His strength to let me come on here and give my all to everyone. I'm also human though, so sometimes I feel a little more than other days. But there are also some very simple things, like just get enough sleep, bro. Make sure you're resting. Make sure you're eating correctly. Are you hydrated? Have you spent time with family and friends? All those types of things. They're super big factors, but yeah, that's it.
2 very simple ones. Can we expect to see some people from season 1 back in the podcast?
No, they're out. Don't want them here anymore. Stuff you, Carl and Nick. I don't want you on this podcast anymore. No, I'm teasing. I'm saying that because those are two of my best friends, and I can say that they wouldn't care. So don't get all offended in the comments now. But anyway, yeah, I think definitely there has to be a part 2 for parenting under pressure with my mom. That was like huge. I really want to do like a segment. Please let me know, guys. For the boys would be myself, Nick, and Kyle. It's kind of like this conversation where for the last like 5 years we've been meeting every single week and talking about Jesus, our struggles, like trying to walk after him, run after him, all those different things. So I'm thinking of doing like a spin-off with like for the boys. So that'd be like really cool. But yeah, it's not to say we won't have anyone, but I am looking forward to having new guests and then maybe developing some sort of something moving forward. Yeah.
Can we hope to get some merch in the future?
Oh, I want to say yes. I really do. Guys, I would love to get merch. That would be, oh my word, you don't understand how cool that would be. That would be amazing. Let me know, actually, if you guys want merch. I think we would need to grow the channel quite a lot more. But I tell you what, as soon as it's possible and as soon as it's financially viable for us to do so, I'm 100% in. I'd love to do merch for the future.
T-shirts with your one-liners.
Oh my word. Hayden's such a fan of the one-liners. Anyway, I think that's everything, right? That's everything. Okay, cool. Well, guys, thank you so much. That is the Q&A. We are officially done. That was all of them. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you so much. I can't express this enough. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for sticking around for the entirety of season 1. I cannot wait to see what God does in this space in season 2. As promised. Oh my word, we didn't mention this. Guys, we have huge news. We're going to be dropping an episode every 2 weeks. Let's go! Like, just like every crazy thing. It's just super exciting. But we really want to get the backing of community. We want to serve community for community. We want to grow so that we can share. We are committed to progression over perfection. Jesus is central in all of this. And we're just super excited to be doing 2 episodes a month. It's a lot of hard work. So once again, if you want to support us on a financial level, there are 3 separate plans, tier 1, 2, and 3. If you can only give $60 a month, that would seriously help us. And for all the patrons who are on there already, I just want to say a massive, massive thank you. Hayden and I are so grateful because you guys are empowering us to do the dream work of this podcast. And without you, I really ask Hayden, just behind the scenes, just so grateful, because literally our SD cards recording right now are falling to pieces. So we need to go buy some new ones for the next episode, which is already a chunk into our camera money, but it is what it is. And yeah, and we got our first Patreon. We just started celebrating and dancing, so all that good stuff. But all in all, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We love you loads. And as always, we are here to grow and here to share. I pray that you have the best week, and we cannot wait to see you in the first official episode of season 2 of the In Sync Frequencies podcast, otherwise known as the ISF Pod. Awesome. Thank you for your time. Peace out. This is Steven Roeters van Lennep. It's been a pleasure answering your questions. Bye.